Hello and welcome to the Light and Love Box Inspirational Message. We are going to be exploring the topic of endurance. I am Joe Courier.
And I'm Tracy Anderson. Welcome to the Light and Love Box channel. You are part of a growing community bringing peace, possibility, and prosperity to help transform our world with light and love. Today, while we discuss endurance, you'll have to forgive me. This is an extremely loaded topic for me because in my research on endurance, it just became abundantly clear to me that this concept is one that has been abused and skewed in our society and has been used as like a programming mechanism that causes people to ignore their personal boundaries, their inner wisdom, and turning away from a balanced life. And it's resulting in people losing themselves and their direction and their purpose in life. So this is just a really big topic to me.
So, what I hear you saying, Tracy, is that endurance is often been used as a way to get people to buy into suffering and to suffer without making change in their lives. And that it's expected that you will just continue to endure or take whatever is coming your way. And that is not at all the message.
That is not the message at all. I looked up the definition and I was disgusted. It was suffer patiently. Rather than looking at the roots of our suffering and being able to heal and change, that is not what we're talking about.
No,
We want to move away from that victim mentality of
ab-
endurance.
absolutely. For me, endurance is more about having the inner strength and the motivation to move forward in your life with positivity and hopefulness because you're building towards something that you know is better.
The rune that this box is actually kind of based upon is nowadays. And so when you look at that rune as it relates to endurance, it's a very different message.
It's beautiful.
The message that this rune is bringing to light is that change leads to salvation within, and this is what inspires us to endure. And when you look at change, it can be changing an external situation, or it can be looking at personal beliefs, thoughts, habits, patterns, and making
Changing
a
your attitude when you're changing that, those internal things, changing how you look at something.
But the underlying message there is it's action. It's action we take. We're not sitting there wallowing in a situation and suffering patiently. We are actively looking at a situation, making changes to create salvation within so that we can endure.
Which is interesting because so many times in our conversations, we've talked about the external programming that comes and is a guiding factor in so many of our lives, rather than looking at the internal factors, the motivation. And externally, we are taught that suffering will create gain in our lives. But like you said, it's not suffering that creates pain and constriction. It is almost like the impetus, the forward momentum to do something, actively changing, whether it is circumstances, thoughts, beliefs, even just our emotional state.
If you look at the difference between the two concepts that we've just brought up, okay? The first is someone is willfully doing something to their situation, right? They're enduring a situation. Whereas with the message of nowadays, endurance is actually a byproduct of exploring and healing like our shadow and inner selves. And this byproduct is what allows us to live life fully with purpose and meaning and passion.
It reminds me of an athlete because they have endurance training, but it's not so that they can stay at the least best potential that they have. It's so that they can look within. What do I need to change within myself? Do I need to work harder physically? Do I need to frame myself and visualize and see that I am accomplishing whatever that end goal is? It's on a multi-dimensional perspective, but they do it willingly because they have the passion inside and they train to move forward and to have an accomplishment, something that they are proud of, something that they can share with others. And that's kind of the message I hear that you were sharing with us in terms of what Naudis is saying. It's not to stay wallowing in the dark shadows, but to look at those things and say, how can I either change the way that I think about that, or how can I move beyond that limitation?
Now, Dees inspires us to be courageous to face those things as well.
I think a lot of people innately have courage. And I
Mhm.
think a lot of times we have opportunities where that comes out, where we just, with an adrenaline rush, are faced. Like if a parent, their child is threatened, they jump in without even thinking. That courage just comes forward. But in an endurance situation, a lot of times you just feel worn down by what the programming or society or what your internal conflict is. And so you need something to create that positive forward momentum.
Endurance from a soul level, right? We're talking about endurance over time and space. And we
Lifetimes, is that what you're saying?
yes, lifetimes.
Yeah.
So we remain in existence because energy is not destroyed. And that's why it's so important for us to do this work, to heal, to learn, to experience, to love, to be a light out into the world, because we're going to endure over time. And
Yes.
and that kind of goes back to your athlete analogy, and that is, it's time. It's over a long time of endurance, but it's more from an existence standpoint.
Yes. Yeah.
That is really, I think, important as well to contemplate for this box as well.
And when we talk about the light side of things, I mean, the darker side of endurance is just what we've been talking about: suffering, wallowing, inability to see beyond the circumstances where you're at. But the light side is all about, you know, creating a shift in your thoughts, affirming something different than what you are currently in, or thinking about something and reframing it to have a positive aspect rather than that. Again, the perfect analogy: a glass half full, a glass more than half full, or empty or full. And
Mhm.
so all of those things are little baby steps to helping us change our perspective about what we think enduring a situation is.
The last box that was done was on balance. And I think that was an important precursor to this box, to bring that concept and that healing to balance in our lives, because you need to understand and really feel that concept.
Yes, you need to embody it so
Yes.
that you do have that internal strength or the power of will then to go ahead and say, yes, this may be the situation right now, but I can actively move forward. I can maintain the shift in my thoughts, the positivity, whatever I need to do to get to this next place, even if I feel like I am enduring this for whatever length of time it is. But it's not enduring in a place where there's not growth and perspective that allows us to change our soul story, if you will, but to move into a place where you're actually moving through the things that perhaps you need to in order to move forward in your own spirituality.
In this box specifically, there is the element of the wind chimes that has been brought in. And in some of my past ceremonies, I've done a lot of work with wind chimes. And I
Yes,
specifically really like wind chimes because it's outside and it's interacting with the elements all the time, so you always are getting that constant reminder of whatever energy you put into that chime. So in this specific box, these chimes are going to be used for in the purposes of endurance. So every time you hear that chime, it's going to constantly bring this message and that healing work that you did during that ceremony to life. It serves as a very powerful reminder all the time.
they also historically, the soft wind chimes, those high pitched wind chimes, are thought to bring good fortune, to ward off negativity. And wind for me is an invisible flow of energy.
Yeah.
Water is also a flow of energy, but it's very visible. Both are tactile, but for wind, it moves beyond what you can see. And you take it in with your other senses, and it's a form of trusting that that flow is being brought, and it's also moving beyond. So I love the idea of wind chimes with endurance, because there are unknown factors, invisible things that change the direction of our lives. And the wind chimes for me help to illustrate that.
At a very core level, when the chime is hit, it's creating vibration and it's sending that energy out at a very, I don't know, it's almost like it's a concentrated way that it goes out. So on top of it, this chime includes that a carnelian stone. So
Yes.
that further amplifies that energy that we are putting out with that chime.
Yes.
And
It fuels our passion and helps us to be courageous to move forward.
yes, I'm so glad you brought that up because that was going to be my next thing. So, what I think is so awesome here is that we have created a community where other individuals are performing these ceremonies at the same time or putting that same energy out. And that I think also serves as a reminder that we're not alone. We're coming together as a community and we're putting that energy out together. And I think that strengthens our courage.
It
When
does.
it lets us know that we're all in this together, we're all putting this energy out, and then that amplifies that energy. And I think it's very, very beautiful.
It is. And we speak a lot about the collective energy, what we are building as individuals to then bring into that pool of this collective or the group. And I think wind also can play into that, because you don't necessarily, as an individual, feel, see, but you can sense that everything, this invisible force, is flowing through, and we are making a shift in more than just our own personal circumstances. We are shifting so much more beyond what it is that we live in any given moment. We're shifting things for others, for the future, for the intentions of what humanity is here for. I
Hmm.
don't picture, but that's how I feel about it.
you can work with these elements and create something amazing. It
Well,
just, and it goes so much beyond just us individually.
and going back to working with these elements that you spoke of, that is why Light and Love Box pulls in all the earth elements, that like the wind, the fire, the water, the earth, all of the things that create and that we have naturally at our fingertips and we have always turned to. And I say we as a human race, I think every culture has turned to the elements to help them to be inspired, to gain wisdom, and to shift whatever it is that in their world they're looking for something more positive, better, an answer to a question, all of those things. Well, this box is exciting for me because not only are you moving to a place where you are thinking about endurance, but you then get the chance to actually plant something, and not you're planting the seeds in physical ways and also in energetic ways, emotional ways. All of it, it's just all compounded within this box. So you get to see how not everything thrives, but how when it's given the right environment, plants, people, animals thrive. We're doing part of that in this box. Endurance applies to so many different phases when we talk about the lunar and the solar cycles, because I think it easily ties into a full moon ceremony. But also, you could use endurance with the energy of the sun just to give you that strength and the warmth that you need to move forward. You could use it with a new moon. I mean, it's multi perspective because a new moon speaks of new beginnings and putting things in place. And if you need to change your perspective on how you have always looked at enduring something in your life, that would be a perfect time to do so. So I love how versatile this box can be.
Well, we would invite those of you who would like to explore this topic more. You can visit the links below. But we are so happy that you joined us this month for this message. And we look forward to seeing you again next time.
Thanks again for joining us.